Currently, Amazon's The Rings of Power is dominating pop culture discussion, with there being quite a conflict of opinion. And Amazon have even introduced a 72-hour wait for users to post their reviews due to the oncoming traffic of trolls. And look, if they feel that they're getting legitimate trolls who are coming in there just to lower the overall rating of the show so newcomers get put off it, that's fair enough. It's their own service, they can do what they want. But at the end of the day, the internet will show its true feelings of each episode in many different forms, whether that be through Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, you name it. Do I actually think there are trolls coming for this show? I think it's a bit easy just to label people in one category as a troll. I think what I've seen is that there's many different people at different starting points when it comes to the Rings of Power. Firstly, you have the fans who are completely against this show as it got announced because they're against any changes being made to Tolkien's world and would rather defend Tolkien's work. And that's a totally acceptable stance to have because this world, these books, they do mean a lot to people, so they have every right to voice their own opinion on what Amazon's new direction looks like. In the last few months, there's been quite a few statements from cast members, from many members of the creative team about the show, which has angered fans, and with that has stoked up that fire of hatred towards the show before it's even began. And everyone goes into a TV show or movie with a different mindset. It really depends on what they've digested beforehand, whether that just be a poster, a trailer, or nothing at all.
Nothing at all! Nothing at all!
For example, when you look at the Black Panther 2 trailer, there seems to be a general consensus that that was a pretty good trailer, so there's going to be some high hopes for that film. Whereas when you look at The Rings of Power, I thought that trailer wasn't that great, so I went into this show on like a -1, -2, but then you got people who have been digesting content, negative content of this show for months and months, so they're probably going into it on like a -30, -50, you name it. Which makes it incredibly difficult for a show to actually turn people's opinions around, but we actually have seen that very recently with House of the Dragon, but most people do quite enjoy that. But when it comes to the Rings of Power, I've got to say, after the first 2 episodes, I think it's been quite disappointing so far. So I'm not against this show getting bad reviews, but it does mean that that whole pot of anger which has been stirred up in the last few months has now just overflown all over it. And with that taken into account, I think the outrage has kind of jumped the gun a little bit. Like, we've only got the first 2 episodes out so far, we've still got 6 more to go. Like, it very well could get even worse, but it's like going on a date with somebody after just seeing their legs. So what exactly is disappointing with the first 2 episodes? I think one of the biggest issues at the moment is that the story is split into 4 different sections. We have Galadriel's story, we have Elrond's story, Arondir's story, and we have Nori's story. And there's nothing wrong with splitting it up like this. It actually kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones in that way, where we had Brienne and Jaime, we had the Hound and Arya. Those duos, those connections formed. It's actually some of the best moments we have with these characters because they can really open up and be a bit more vulnerable. And a lot of these characters are in desperate need of some personality, like especially even Galadriel. Like, she's one of the main players of this show, and she's like a personality vacuum. To be fair to her though, she has been in the water recently, but we need something from her very soon because she is a key component for the whole show to succeed. Elrond, on the other hand, has shown some promise, especially with communication between him and Prince Durin. And hopefully these characters do benefit from the storyline, because I think this could be one of the stronger ones in the show. We have the whole elf-dwarf dynamic, we've seen it before, of course, but I think having the dwarfs there as well just bring their own energy as well, and how it all links in with the Rings of Power will be very interesting to see. The Arondir and Bronwyn storyline has been a little bit weak so far, I'd say. We have got a romance there though, so there is something. And then we have the Harfoots, and they've only just got interesting because of the whole mystery man and who that could be. And with Nori being the one who's been interacting the most with him, that's given Nori a bit of a platform. So some of my key thoughts after the first 2 episodes is that the show looks amazing. I mean, that's no surprise. They put a lot of money into it, and it's been great to go back into the world of Middle-earth. However, at the moment, I'd happy to swipe all the characters away and just jump into this world like I'm playing Elden Ring or something, and just enjoy it for myself. Because right now, the characters are a bit too dull. They haven't really got much going for them. As I said, it's still early days. There's only a quarter of the show's gone, and still 6 more episodes to go. But it's just not been a great start at the moment. It's been a bit like a turd which they're trying to polish and polish and polish. And if this was just some random fantasy show which had no ties to Lord of the Rings or anything like that, I think this would struggle to keep an audience, absolutely. Because I gotta say, at the moment, it just feels a little bit like that Warcraft film they did a few years ago where, do I remember anything which happened in that film? Do I remember any of the characters? Hell no. Now, as I was discussing in my House of the Dragon video, do we have a hook yet for this show? Now, the same applies here for the Rings of Power. Is there a hook yet? I don't think we've actually got one just yet, but between episodes, we actually had the same cliffhanger where we have a mystery person in episode 1, and we also have a mystery person at the end of episode 2. Even if the first 2 episodes were a little bit of a struggle to get through, I am still looking forward to see how the show does develop over the next few weeks. As there is still time for the show to leave a better taste in the mouth, but after the first 2 hours, I am a little bit worried. With this being quite a hot debate right now, it'll be interesting to see your thoughts on the Rings of Power, so let me know in the comments below. And on screen right now is our preview for the month of September, which includes the Rings of Power, but also some of the films we've got to look forward to in the coming weeks.